The voicemail played again, my mother's sugary voice filling the car. "Ramona, honey, we have a few ideas. Let's make this place nice for the whole family." I gripped the steering wheel tighter, watching rain streak across my windshield. After 15 years of being the family ATM, you'd think I'd be immune to that tone, the one that makes ideas sound like demands and family feel like hostage situation. My name is Ramona, and I'm about to close on my dream home tomorrow. A rundown lakeside cabin that I scraped and saved for while juggling 3 jobs. Nobody knows about the extra night shifts I picked up at the hospital or the vacation days I sold back. It was worth it. This cabin is mine. All mine. My phone buzzed again. Stephanie. "Hey sis." My younger sister's voice dripped honey. "Mom says you're being weird about the cabin schedule. Jordan and I were thinking of hosting a little housewarming next weekend. Nothing major, just 40 or 50 people." I pulled into my apartment complex, killing the engine. "Steph, I haven't even closed yet." "But you will tomorrow. Come on, don't be selfish. You know I need this. Jordan's been so distant lately, and his rich aunt is in town." The familiar weight settled in my chest. Last time Stephanie needed something, it was my car. She'd called on Christmas Eve crying about a job interview, then totaled it joyriding with Jordan 2 days later. Insurance didn't cover it, because she'd been drinking. I'd bought another car, used, of course. "I'll think about it," I lied, grabbing my purse and heading inside. My phone immediately pinged with a group text. "Mum, attached renovation budget spreadsheet. Dad, makes sense to split costs 5 ways. Stephanie, dibs on master bedroom. Jordan, can't wait to get my jet ski out there." I opened the spreadsheet, my hands shaking. Color-coded cells detailed family usage rights and maintenance responsibilities. My portion of the costs? 80%, because I'm single with no kids and make good money. The phone rang. "Vanessa, your mother just called me," my cousin said, without preamble. She wanted to know if I could draw up some kind of family trust document for the cabin. I told her I'd need to speak with the actual owner first. I sank onto my couch, laughing despite myself. "Let me guess. She said she'd be handling everything as the matriarch. Worse, she suggested you might be too overwhelmed to manage property decisions." Vanessa's voice hardened. "Ram, remember that conversation we had last month? About boundaries?" I did. We'd been drinking wine on her deck when she'd asked me to calculate how much money my family had borrowed over the years. The number made her spit out her Merlot. "I remember," I said quietly. "Good, because I've got the paperwork ready. 1 signature, and that cabin becomes a private trust. No family claims, no legal loopholes. Just you." My phone buzzed again. Another text from Stephanie. "Jordan's crew is heading up Friday. Hope you stocked the fridge." I opened my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. For years I'd kept a password-protected document titled "The Cost of Family." Every loan, every bailout, every emergency that somehow became my responsibility. The total could have bought a house in the suburbs. Instead, I'd chosen a cabin by the lake, my sanctuary. "Vanessa," I said, my voice steady for the first time all day. "Email me those papers." "Already done. And Ram." I added a restraining order template, just in case. I was about to respond when another email popped up, from Mom. Subject line, "Cabin renovation schedule, mandatory family meeting Sunday." Something inside me, something that had been bending for decades, finally snapped clean. I opened my banking app and scheduled a wire transfer for tomorrow's closing. Then I texted back to the family group. Looking forward to discussing everything Sunday. They had no idea what was coming, but they would. Oh, they would. "Of course we'll consider everyone's input," I said sweetly into the phone, watching my printer spit out Vanessa's legal documents. "Yes, Mom, I understand family comes first. The lies felt smooth as silk now, years of practice. My mother's voice crackled through the speaker. Well, your father and I were thinking of moving some of our antiques up there. That cabinet from Aunt Martha would look perfect in the entryway. I signed another page. Initial here, date there. And Stephanie mentioned she might need to stay there for a few months. You know how hard the job market is. The printer hummed. Another page of the private trust documentation complete. Really? Don't use that tone, Ramona. After everything we've done for you. A notification popped up on my laptop. Stephanie had started a shared Pinterest board. Our lake house renovation. Already 50 pins deep in expensive furniture and designer fixtures. Mom, I need to go. Work emergency. I hung up before she could protest. My phone immediately lit up with a text from Stephanie. Hey bitch! Jordan's friend knows this amazing contractor. Already got a quote for adding a boat dock. Only $45K. We can split it. I took a screenshot. Added it to my evidence folder. The doorbell rang. Vanessa stood there with a bottle of wine and a notary. Ready to make it official? She asked, stepping inside. 20 minutes later, I owned an ironclad private trust. My cabin, my rules, my sanctuary, legally bulletproof. Remember last Christmas? Vanessa asked, pouring us both a generous glass of red. When Stephanie had that emergency job interview? I snorted. You mean when she stole my car and wrapped it around a tree? Tell me again how that played out. I'm recording this for the file. I leaned back, the memory sharp as broken glass. She called crying at midnight on Christmas Eve, said she had a surprise interview at some tech startup the next morning. Her car was making weird noises, and she was desperate. I drove over in a snowstorm to swap vehicles. And then, 2 days later, police called. Found my car in a ditch outside some club. Stephanie and Jordan were fine. Drunk, but fine. They'd been doing donuts in a parking lot. Hit a patch of ice. And you paid for everything. Towing, repairs, their hospital checkup, Jordan's torn jacket, even the Uber home. I took a long sip of wine. They never said thank you. Vanessa nodded, tapping her phone. And when you asked for help with the insurance deductible? Stephanie cried about being broke. Mom said I was being cruel bringing it up while she was traumatized. Dad suggested I should have had better coverage anyway. My phone buzzed. A group text from Jordan. Yo! Got the crew loaded up. Heading to the lake house tomorrow. Bringing the jet skis. Vanessa raised an eyebrow. I showed her the message. Perfect timing, she said. The property transfer and private trust filing will be recorded first thing tomorrow. Should we tell them the gate code changed? Let them figure it out. Another text dinged. Stephanie. Ramona! Jordan's friend Kyle is allergic to gluten. Make sure you stock the right snacks. We'll be there around 2. I poured more wine, my hands steady. You know what the worst part is? They genuinely believe they're entitled to this. My savings, my sacrifice, my sanctuary. They think it's a family resource. Not anymore. Vanessa held up the notarized papers. This is your line in the sand. My phone lit up again. Mom had sent an email with a revised spreadsheet. Subject line, updated cabin expenses, your share. I didn't open it. Instead, I pulled up the security company's website, added cameras, motion sensors, and a new electronic gate system to my cart. Rush installation available. They're going to lose their minds, I said quietly. Vanessa clinked her glass against mine. That's not your problem anymore. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Stephanie. OMG sis, found the perfect boat. Only $85K. Jordan says we can all split the payments. This is going to be the best summer ever. I turned my phone off. Tomorrow would be interesting. Very interesting indeed. I sat in my new porch swing, sipping coffee, and watching the security camera feed on my iPad. Right on schedule, 3 trucks loaded with jet skis and coolers pulled up to my locked gate at 2:15 p.m. The cameras caught Jordan's confused face as he punched in the old code. Then again, and again. My phone erupted. Stephanie. Gate's broken, fix it. Jordan. Yo, where's the new code? Mom. Honey, call us back immediately. Dad. This is ridiculous. I watched through the cameras as Stephanie jumped out of Jordan's truck, stomping toward the intercom in her designer boots. She jabbed the call button repeatedly. I pressed the talk button. This is private property. Please vacate the premises. Ramona, stop being a bitch and let us in. Everyone's been driving for hours. I repeat, this is private property. You are not authorized to enter. Security cameras are recording. Stephanie's face contorted. I'm your sister. We brought like 20 people. Open the fucking gate. I clicked the intercom off and watched the show unfold. Jordan tried climbing the gate but slipped off, landing hard on his ass. Someone in the third truck started honking. Stephanie was now screaming into her phone. Right on cue, my mother called. What do you think you're doing? Her voice trembled with rage. Enjoying my property, I said calmly. Would you like me to read you the no trespassing statute? My lawyer provided an excellent summary. Your lawyer? We are your family. Yes, and as my family, you should respect my property rights. Any attempt to enter without permission will be treated as criminal trespass. Through the camera, I watched Stephanie kick the gate, then howl and grab her foot. We drove 3 hours, she shrieked in the background. Jordan's aunt came all the way from Boston. That sounds like poor planning on your part, I said. I never agreed to host anyone. This isn't like you, my mother hissed. You're acting crazy. Your father and I are worried. I've sent everyone an email detailing my property rights and boundaries. Any attempts to enter without permission will result in immediate police involvement. Goodbye, Mum. I hung up and clicked a button on my phone. The security lights flashed, and an automated warning played through the gate speakers. You are trespassing on private property. Police will be notified if you do not leave immediately. Stephanie screamed something unprintable. Jordan's aunt looked mortified. People started getting back into their vehicles. My phone buzzed with a text from Vanessa. How's it going? I sent her the security footage. She replied with a crying, laughing emoji. Then came the email from my mother. Your behavior is destroying this family. We raised you better than this. Your sister is crying. Jordan's aunt drove all this way. People bought food and drinks. This selfishness is not like you. We're genuinely concerned about your mental state. Family meeting, tomorrow, 2 p.m., non-negotiable. I forwarded it to Vanessa, who replied instantly. Perfect evidence of harassment. Want me to send the cease and desist now? Not yet, I typed back. Wait for it. Right on cue, my father's email arrived. This cabin purchase was clearly a family investment. Your mother and I expect to be reimbursed for all the support we've given you over the years. We'll discuss numbers tomorrow. Don't make this ugly. I watched through the cameras as the last truck pulled away. Stephanie flipped off my security camera before getting into Jordan's truck. They left behind scattered beer cans and what looked like a broken flip-flop. My phone rang again. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, I'm Chandler from next door, a male voice said. Just wanted to say I caught that whole show on my security cameras too. If you need a witness statement about the attempted trespassing, I've got great footage. I smiled. Thanks, neighbor. I might take you up on that. Also, he added, not to be forward, but I make a mean lakeside barbecue if you ever want a drama-free dinner companion. Looking at the sunset reflecting off the lake, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. You know what? I said. That sounds really nice. My phone buzzed with another angry text from Stephanie. but for the first time in forever, I didn't feel the need to read it. "You're telling me they never paid back a single loan?" Chandler asked, helping me pry up old floorboards. "Not one?" I wiped sweat from my forehead, laughing without humor. "Oh, they had creative ways of paying. Guilt mostly. Some premium-grade emotional manipulation. We'd been renovating all morning. Chandler had stopped by with coffee and ended up staying to help. He was easy to talk to. Something about his calm presence made the words flow. "Look at this," he said, pointing his flashlight into the exposed crawl space. "There's something down there." I peered in. An old trunk, covered in decades of dust, sat wedged between the floor joists. "Think we can reach it?" 20 minutes and several scraped knuckles later, we hauled it out. The lock was rusted, but gave way with some persuasion from Chandler's tools. Inside, we found a stack of journals. The first entry was dated 1985. "Dear Diary," I read aloud. "Today, I finally bought my escape. Mother says I'm being selfish. David says I'm having a breakdown. But this cabin is mine. All mine." My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. "Your sister is devastated. She had to cancel her engagement party at the cabin. Jordan's family thinks we're all crazy now." "Engagement party?" Chandler raised an eyebrow. "First, I'm hearing of it." I showed him my phone. "See how they do that? Plan things without asking, then act like I'm the villain when their plans fall through." "My ex was like that," he said, opening another journal. "Always volunteered me for things, then got angry when I had other commitments." My phone rang. Vanessa. "Hey cuz, heads up," she said. "Stephanie's been talking to people at church, saying you're having some kind of breakdown, living alone in the woods, hoarding things." I put her on speaker. "Let me guess. She's worried about my mental health?" Bingo. Classic setup for a conservatorship play. I've seen it before. Chandler looked up sharply from the journal he was reading. "They're trying to have you declared incompetent?" he asked. "They can try," Vanessa said through the speaker, "but I've already documented everything. Every loan, every manipulation, every threat. Plus, your medical records show you're perfectly stable and successful." I picked up another journal, dated 1986. "Listen to this. Mother showed up today with moving boxes. Said since I'm all alone up here, she might as well use the cabin as her summer home. I changed the locks. She called me ungrateful." "History repeats," Chandler said quietly. My phone buzzed again. A text from Jordan. "Yo, your sis is crying again. Real cold how you're treating family. Better make this right." "Family," I scoffed. "You know what they did last Thanksgiving? Stephanie announced she'd volunteered my cabin, which I didn't even own yet, to host 30 people. When I said no, Mom told everyone I was having a selfish episode." Chandler stood up, stretching. "Want to take a break? I make a mean grilled chicken." "Actually, yes." I needed to stop reading about another woman's family drama from 40 years ago. It hit too close to home. As we walked to his cabin next door, my phone lit up with a group text. Mom. "Family intervention tomorrow. Non-negotiable. Dad, this has gone too far." Stephanie. "We're doing this because we love you." "They really don't get it, do they?" Chandler asked, firing up his grill. "They never will." I forwarded the messages to Vanessa, adding, "Time to send that cease and desist?" She replied instantly. "On it. Also, just found something interesting. Stephanie applied for a credit card using your cabin's address. Want me to alert the fraud department?" I stared at the message, feeling that familiar mix of hurt and rage. "You okay?" Chandler asked, placing a gentle hand on my shoulder. "No," I said honestly, "but I will be." My phone buzzed one final time. An email from Mom. "Since you're clearly not thinking straight, we've taken the liberty of scheduling a family counseling session. Your father and I will be bringing Pastor Mike tomorrow to talk about your recent behavior. I turned off my phone. Hey, Chandler? I asked, watching him arrange chicken on the grill. Think you might want to be here tomorrow? I could use a witness. He smiled. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Mom, we're just here to perform a welfare check, the officer said, standing on my porch. Your sister's concerned about your mental state. I handed him my folder. I've been expecting this. Here's my current medical clearance, proof of employment as a hospital administrator, and recent bank statements. I'm also recording this interaction. The younger officer flipped through the documents while his partner spoke into his radio. Chandler watched from his deck next door, ready to intervene if needed. Everything appears in order, the first officer said. Nice place you've got here. Thank you. Would you like to document that I'm clearly not hoarding, as my sister claimed? They did a quick walkthrough, noting my organized renovation project and spotless kitchen. I handed them Vanessa's business card. My lawyer. She's expecting your report. After they left, Chandler came over. That was impressive. You were ready for them. Had to be. I showed him my phone. Look what Stephanie posted an hour ago. The Facebook post read, "Please pray for my sister. She's isolated herself in the woods, refusing to see family. We're so worried. Mental health awareness." My phone rang. Vanessa, Ram, we've got a problem, she said. Stephanie just filed paperwork to sell your parents' house, using a power of attorney they apparently signed last week. The proceeds are meant to help you get treatment. My hands started shaking. They're trying to liquidate assets? It gets worse. She's petitioning to be named your temporary guardian, claiming you're having a psychotic break. She's using your isolation and hoarding as evidence. I sat down hard. Chandler took my hand. What do you need? He asked quietly. My laptop, I said. It's time. For years, I'd kept video diaries, therapy homework that became a habit, conversations recorded, text messages screenshotted, emails archived. Every manipulation, every guilt trip, every financial drain. I started uploading them to a private server. Vanessa, I said, remember that document cache we prepared? The nuclear option? Already on it. But Ram, are you sure? This burns every bridge. I thought about the journals in the trunk. About another woman, 40 years ago, fighting the same battle. About Stephanie using mental health as a weapon. Do it! My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Pastor Mike is very concerned. We're coming up tomorrow with some nice men from the church. They'll help you pack. I forwarded it to Vanessa. Perfect, she said. That's a documented threat. I'm filing the restraining order now. Chandler read over my shoulder. They really think they can just show up and take you away? They've always seen me as property, I said, typing rapidly. A resource to be used. Watch this. I posted on Facebook. Since there's concern about my mental health, I'm doing a live video tour of my home and life. Join me in 10 minutes for complete transparency. The notifications exploded immediately. Mom, take that down! Stephanie, you're just proving our point. Dad, this is completely inappropriate. I set up my phone and went live. Calmly showed my organized home, my renovation projects, my work laptop with hospital administrative emails. Read out my recent performance review. Showed the police report from today. And now, I said to the growing audience, let me share some interesting financial records. Stephanie was typing frantically in the comments. She's having an episode. Don't encourage this. I shared my screen, showing years of loans and their amounts. Stephanie's car accidents. Mom's maxed credit cards. Dad's gambling debts. By the way, I added, I've documented every attempt to claim my property and manipulate my mental health status. My lawyer will be filing harassment charges tomorrow. The comments exploded. I ended the live video and turned to Chandler. That was badass, he said softly. My phone rang. Vanessa again. Restraining order granted, she said. And Ram, Stephanie just tried to access your bank accounts using your social security number. Want to press charges? I looked at the old journals on my coffee table. At the peace I'd found here. At Chandler's supportive smile. Yes, I said firmly. Press charges. Press all of them. Sometimes karma needs a little push. The cabin warming party was in full swing when I heard the commotion at the gate. My co-workers from the hospital, Chandler, and several neighbors were enjoying drinks on the deck when 3 cars started honking frantically. Right on schedule, Vanessa said, checking her watch. Through the security camera feed, I watched my family pile out of their vehicles. Mom, Dad, Stephanie, Jordan, and, surprisingly, Pastor Mike. Should I call the police? Chandler asked, his hand on my shoulder. Not yet. I pressed the intercom. You're in violation of a restraining order. Open this gate, Mom's voice crackled through the speaker. Pastor Mike is here to talk sense into you. I clicked the exterior lights on, illuminating the large, no trespassing signs and the restraining order posted clearly on the gate. I'm having a private party, I said calmly. Leave now, or I'll have you arrested. Stephanie started scaling the gate. Perfect, Vanessa muttered, recording everything on her phone. That's criminal trespass on video. Before anyone could stop her, Stephanie made it over. She stormed up the path toward the deck, mascara running, designer dress muddy. How dare you, she screamed. How dare you post our private business online? Jordan's aunt saw your video. Everyone at church is talking. My guests fell silent, watching. I didn't move from my chair. You mean the video where I proved I'm not having a mental breakdown? I took a sip of wine. Or the one showing how you tried to access my bank accounts. We were trying to help you. She was crying now, but I recognized the fake tears. You're sick. You need help. The gate motor hummed. Mom, Dad, and Pastor Mike were walking up now. Ramona, Pastor Mike said soothingly. Your family is very concerned. Save it, Vanessa cut in. I have proof of conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted identity theft, and filing false reports. Want to add criminal trespass to the charges? You ungrateful bitch, Mom spat. After everything we've done for you. I pressed play on my phone. Her own voice filled the air. Just forge her signature. She'll never check the statements anyway. We can blame it on stress if she notices. Dad's face went pale. Where did you get that? I record everything now, I said quietly. Would you like to hear the call where you discuss selling my cabin to pay off your gambling debts? Or Stephanie's voicemail about faking a mental health crisis? You're twisting things, Stephanie shrieked. Jordan, tell them! But Jordan was backing away, looking sick. You said she gave you permission to use her social security number. Oh, this is good, Vanessa murmured, still recording. Keep talking, Jordan. Pastor Mike cleared his throat. Perhaps we should leave, I finished. Now, before I press charges. We're cutting you out of the will, Mom announced dramatically. You'll get nothing. I laughed. I updated mine last year. Guess who I left everything to? Stephanie lunged forward, but Chandler stepped between us. Ma'am, step back. You can't do this, she screamed. That's our cabin, too. We're family. Family? I stood finally. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't try to have you declared incompetent to steal your property. I have the police on standby, Vanessa announced. Last chance to leave voluntarily. Mom grabbed Pastor Mike's arm. Tell her she's breaking God's commandment to honor her parents. Actually, he said slowly, watching the video still playing on my phone, I think I need to leave. This is not what you described. Sirens wailed in the distance. That's your cue, I said. Unless you'd like to explain to the police why you violated a restraining order? They ran, all except Jordan, who lingered. Those loans, he said quietly. The ones Stephanie said you offered to give us. She was lying, wasn't she? I nodded. He handed me a thumb drive. Bank statements, text messages, everything she told me to hide. I'm sorry. After they all left, my guests burst into applause. Now that's what I call a cabin warming, Chandler said, raising his glass. I looked around at my real friends, my chosen family, and finally felt the last chain break. No, I corrected him. That's what I call freedom. The certified letter arrived on a Tuesday. I recognized my parents' lawyer's letterhead before I even opened it. They're threatening to sue for mental cruelty and inheritance sabotage, I read aloud to Vanessa over video chat. They claim I've caused severe emotional distress and financial hardship. Vanessa snorted coffee through her nose. Please tell me you're joking. It gets better. They're demanding I sign over the cabin as compensation for decades of parental support and guidance. Forward it to me, she said, wiping her face. I could use a good laugh. My phone buzzed. A text from Jordan. Heads up, Stephanie got fired today. She's telling everyone it's your fault. Something about that video going viral? I checked Facebook. Sure enough, the recording from my cabin warming party had spread beyond my local circle. The comments were, interesting. Classic narcissistic family dynamic. OMG, my sister does the same thing. That moment when the pastor realizes another text came through, this time from an unknown number. Hi, this is Marcus from WKPN News. We'd love to do a story on toxic family dynamics and financial abuse. I declined politely. I wasn't interested in more drama. The doorbell rang. Chandler stood there with coffee and bagels. Thought you might need breakfast, he said. I saw your sister's posts this morning. I pulled up her latest social media rant. When family betrays you, it hurts differently, but karma will handle it. Toxic sisters. Pray for healing. She's been couch surfing since Jordan kicked her out, I said, taking a bagel. Apparently he didn't appreciate discovering she'd opened credit cards in his name too. My laptop pinged. An email from Vanessa. Just got off the phone with their lawyer. He withdrew from the case after I showed him the evidence. Also, remember that trust fund your grandparents left? The one your parents said was lost in the market crash. I found it. They've been accessing it illegally for years. Want to press charges? Chandler read over my shoulder. Jesus, how much? Enough to buy this cabin 3 times over. My hands were shaking. They stole my inheritance and then made me feel guilty for not supporting them more. The phone rang. Mom. Don't answer it, Chandler warned. I put it on speaker instead. We're selling the house, she said without preamble. Since you've abandoned us, we have no choice. I hope you're happy knowing your parents will be living in some tiny apartment because of your selfishness. Actually, I said calmly, I just learned about Grandma's trust fund, the one you and Dad have been draining for years. Want to discuss that? Silence. Did you really think I wouldn't find out eventually? We were protecting you from yourself, she stammered. You were too young to manage that money responsibly. I'm filing charges, I cut in, for fraud, theft, and embezzlement. Goodbye, Mum. I hung up and blocked her number. You okay? Chandler asked softly. No. I walked to my desk and pulled out an old email draft titled, Don't You Dare. I'd written it years ago, but never sent it. But I will be. My phone lit up with texts from flying monkeys, distant relatives and family friends telling me I was cruel, heartless, destroying my family. I blocked them all. Then I opened my laptop and started typing, "Dear Mom, Dad, and Stephanie." For years, I thought I was the broken one, the selfish one, the one who never gave enough. Now I realize that was your greatest lie. You didn't raise me. You groomed me to be your personal ATM. You didn't protect me. You stole from me. You didn't love me. You used me. But here's the thing about lies. They eventually crumble under the weight of truth. I don't hate you. I nothing you. Goodbye forever, Ramona. I hit send. Now what? Chandler asked, taking my hand. Now, I said. I start living. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from Jordan. Stephanie's telling everyone she's writing a book about surviving toxic family members. Says she's the real victim. I deleted the message without responding. Some people never change. But I had, and that was enough. The autumn leaves scattered across my deck as I sipped morning coffee, watching a family of ducks glide across the lake. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Local couple pleads guilty to trust fund fraud. I didn't need to read it. I'd been there for the hearing. The doorbell rang. Vanessa stood there with a thick manila envelope. Final paperwork, she said, settling into my porch swing. Your grandparents' trust has been fully restored to your control, plus damages. How's Mom taking prison prep? About as well as you'd expect. She's telling everyone it's a spiritual retreat. Vanessa pulled out another document. Also, Stephanie's book deal fell through. Apparently, her story about being the victim didn't match the viral videos. I laughed, remembering Jordan's text from yesterday. She tried moving in with her publisher. They got a restraining order, too. The screen door creaked. Chandler emerged with fresh coffee and muffins. Mail came, he said, handing me an elegant cream envelope. I recognized the return address, my cousin Valeria. Inside was an invitation to a real family reunion. Dear Ramona, I read aloud. We've all seen the videos. For years we believed their lies about you. We should have known better. Would you consider meeting the family members who actually have their heads screwed on straight? You going to go? Chandler asked. Before I could answer, a car pulled into my driveway. Jordan stepped out, carrying a box. Last of your old stuff from Stephanie's storage unit, he said, setting it down. Found these when I was cleaning it out. Inside were photo albums, yearbooks, and a diary from my teenage years. On top lay a Christmas card I'd made for Mum when I was 7, covered in glitter and promises to be a better daughter. Burn it, I said. Actually, Vanessa interjected, there's something you should see first. She pulled out an old bank statement from the box. My first savings account, opened at 16. The balance, $347.89, earned from my after-school job. Below it, withdrawal slips in my mother's handwriting. Each one emptying a little more, always with the same note. Family emergency. You were never the problem, Vanessa said softly. They were stealing from you before you could even drive. I walked to my fire pit and struck a match. The flames consumed my childhood artwork, my teenage dreams, my desperate attempts to be good enough. You know what I learned from those old journals in the cabin? I asked, watching the smoke rise. The woman who owned this place before. She escaped her toxic family too. She left a note in the last journal. Freedom isn't free, but it's worth every penny. Jordan cleared his throat. I have something else you should know. Stephanie's been calling your workplace, trying to get your job records. Says she needs proof of your mental decline for her book. I smiled. Let her try. My boss has a restraining order ready to go. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Your mother's sentence starts next week. Last chance to be a good daughter. I blocked his number and turned to my real family, Chandler, Vanessa, even Jordan, who'd chosen truth over loyalty. I'm going to that reunion, I decided. But first, I pulled out my laptop and opened a fresh document. Dear future cabin owner, if you're reading this, you found my journal. Maybe you're escaping too. Maybe you're building boundaries. Maybe you're learning that family isn't always blood. Whatever your reason, know this. This cabin is more than wood and stone. It's proof that you can rebuild yourself, that you can choose peace over chaos, that you deserve your own space in this world. Welcome home. Ramona. I printed it, sealed it in an envelope, and tucked it into the trunk with the other journals. Perfect, Chandler said, kissing my cheek. My phone lit up one last time. A message from an unknown number. Hi, sis. Got a new phone. Can we talk? I deleted it without reading further and turned back to my coffee, my cabin, my chosen family. Some doors are better left closed, but others, they open to exactly where you're meant to be.